Hi, neighbor. Welcome back to our show. My name is Leah Johnson.
I'm Ariela Allen, and we're so excited for this week's episode.
This week, I had the opportunity to visit a local farmer's market. Also, we have a guest interview about solar power in Boone, led by App TV's own JC Belfi.
And I had the chance to sit down with some members of SGA to talk about their role in our college community. Join us as we say,
Hi, neighbor. Hi, I'm Leah Johnson, and today I am here with Rachel. She is the farmers market manager here at the Blue Ridge Women's Agriculture. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what happens here most of the time for events?
Yes, I'm the farmers market manager for the Boone Winter Farmers Market and the King Street Farmers Market. And I also manage the Double Up Food Bucks program, which is a program that doubles SNAP benefits spent at the farmers market and the food hub.
That's awesome. You guys are very community involved. As for the farmers market every Saturday from 9 to 12, with the weather getting colder or warmer, especially warmer recently, how has business been for the vendors selling their products?
The market just continues to get busier every season, and I think every week it really varies. We do several events, so whenever we do events, that usually brings more people to come out. A couple weeks ago, we had a Dia Latino event with a tamale demonstration and dancers, and that went really well. We had a record turnout for the winter market.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. It sounds like a lot of fun. You said that you had a kids event coming up soon?
Yes, we have Kids Fest, which is next weekend, March 12th. So we'll have kids events for a scavenger hunt and several games and prizes for kids. And then the last market of the season, March 26th, we have a chili cook-off.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun. Well, thank you so much for talking with me today. I'm here with one of the vendors today at the farmers market. What is your name, and can you tell us a little bit about your business that you have here?
Yeah, my name is Emily Carpenter, and I created Wooded Wilds just this year. This is my first year doing the farmers market here, and it's been an amazing success so far.
That's awesome. I wanted to ask you specifically about this artwork that you have up here. It looks very unique. Can you tell me a little bit about how you did that?
Yeah, so these are my coffee paintings. All of my paintings are originals. I don't do any prints, and this is all painted with real coffee.
Wow, that is very creative. What made you decide to start painting with coffee?
I am a coffee fanatic, like many of us out there, and I'm also I'm not wasteful at all. So whenever I brew my morning cup of coffee with whatever leftovers I have, I just had the idea of, instead of painting with watercolors or water with my watercolor paints, I was just going to start painting with coffee. And so I would literally take my mug in the morning and make lots of little coffee prints, and then I would just paint inside of it with coffee.
Wow, that is very creative. Your artwork is definitely so beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to me. I am here today with
Ballard Reynolds of Born Again Dirt Composting.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about this business and how it works with the clothing?
Sure. So the clothing is how we pay for the farmers market, which is how we get to talk to more people about composting here in Boone. Right now, we're mostly a residential compost service. So if you live in an apartment, want to compost, but just don't have the space or you just don't have the energy, we'll get you a 5-gallon bucket, fill it with a little bit of sawdust and a compostable bag liner, and put you on a route. And every 2 weeks, we'll come and collect your bucket from you and take the food scraps that you've put in there and turn into compost at church gardens, community gardens, places like that. Then the finished compost can either go back to us as a member, or, sorry, I just saw one of my coworkers. You as a member can request finished compost on return, or it will go back to the community garden, the church garden, wherever it's composted, to ensure that the soil's enriched there. Don't know if that's enriching's a word, but normally that will end up providing more food for people in the community.
That's awesome. So I know with everything going on with the global warming and the environment and stuff like that, that you guys are doing an amazing job. What does your business do that positively affects the environment specifically?
Well, we're trying to get to a scale where it can create a legitimate help in that climate change fiasco bit, you know. But I'd say the biggest thing we do is divert food scraps from the landfill. Food that is anaerobically decomposing in landfills is one of the major causes of methane releasing. So, like, if you got all this organic waste to not be in a landfill, you would cut methane production pretty bad. Pretty much everything that's thrown in the garbage here, even most of the stuff thrown in the recycling here, is sent to the landfill down in Charlotte. So every piece that we can prevent from doing that is a little bit of something. We also help to enrich in local soil. We're scaling up now, and soon we'll be able to sell compost, which hopefully will help us turn our not exactly lovely soil into slightly lovelier soil.
Awesome. That's so great. Thank you so much for everything that you guys are doing for the environment and making it more known to people that we can reuse and recycle. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for joining us today at the Boone's Farmers Market, where we got to see a bunch of amazing products from local vendors selling to our community. If you are interested in coming out to the farmers market, you can check them out on their website and also their Instagram page at Boone Winter Market. Bye, neighbor. Coming up after this short break, JC Belfi talks with George Santucci about the future of energy in Boone.
Life is a journey. We're told that there are mountains and valleys before us. A mountaineer trudges through. Where others see an obstacle, a mountaineer sees an opportunity. A mountaineer climbs tomorrow's mountains today. So what is a mountaineer? A mountaineer is you.
Now let's check in with JC and see how Boone is working toward clean energy.
I am George Santucci. I am the Sustainability and Special Projects Manager for the town of Boone.
Mr. Santucci, thank you so much for joining me today here in the town of Boone. Since your hiring of last year, one of your most noted accomplishments has been that you've helped to fully power the municipality of Boone using Blue Ridge Energy's partial solar farm in Caldwell County and New River Light and Power, obviously. Can you tell me a little bit more about the details of that?
The town of Boone has two energy providers. New River Light and Power serves about 75% of the town of Boone's geography, and Blue Ridge Electric serves about 25%. So it's the energy or the access to renewables we have, it depends on the location as much as, well, it depends on the location. So if it's a utility or a town-owned asset that is on New River Light and Power, then we have to tap into New River Light and Power and currently the hydropower. And then if it's on the eastern side of town, we would tap into Blue Ridge and the solar array that Blue Ridge has. So not only is the town able to buy that energy, but anybody who's a customer of New River Light and Power can also buy that energy, which is really cool. And then New River is also committed and wants to offer solar power. It's a longer-term commitment. I mean, Blue Ridge Energy was able to make that commitment and invest in what it takes to develop a solar field. That's a much more expensive proposition than it is to tap into, say, a hydropower source that's already developed and all the infrastructure, all the initial investment has been made, and we're just buying the energy. So for New River Light and Power, they would have to find a brand new, or an existing solar field that doesn't have a customer anymore, so to speak. So either one is an expensive proposition, and so they're on the hunt. They're looking for it. They just haven't found it yet.
I know that some gas stations have been offering charging stations for electric vehicles. Do you think that we're going to see a positive reaction from the town of Boone, who, citizens who do have electric vehicles, and what do you think the response is going to be?
So we have two currently in our municipal car chargers over in the Depot Street lot. We actually just bought 10 more, and just pending installation. We're going to install one in front of the post office on King Street. We're probably going to install one behind Town Hall here, and that'll be a dual head, so it'll serve two cars. The one on King probably only serve one car, so we'll have a mix of single car and multiple car chargers. So we're going to scatter them all over town. We'll have some, maybe one at the JC Park, out at the near the Greenway. So we're just going to try to get them as dispersed as possible throughout town. Obviously, because they're municipal, we need to put them on municipal properties. So, that dictates a little bit about where we can put them. We are going to install some when Howard Street, we're redoing, actually that's what this whole picture is back here. We're redoing all of Howard Street, making it more pedestrian friendly and one-way traffic, and there'll be some parking associated with it, and there'll be some car chargers, at least 2 car chargers out there as part of Howard Street, so they'll kind of be dispersed. And then so one of the biggest concerns is parking, right? Well, Boone struggles mightily with providing enough parking for everybody that comes here. So dedicating certain spots for electric vehicles versus other vehicles. So we're going to do a hybrid for a little while. We're not going to limit any new EV charging that we install is going to, a gas car could park there, and we're going to see what the response is. And if we get a massive response from EV owners saying, hey, we may have to revisit that. But at this point, it allows for all parking. But because we're increasing our EV charging infrastructure, 10 times, that we're hoping that meets the demand. But that's the great question, right? We don't really actually know how many vehicles are in Boone that are electric, and worse, we never know how many tourists are coming here with an electric vehicle, and we know how many tourists come to Boone. So it is a bit of a guessing game trying to make sure that we have enough infrastructure. But again, we're negotiating with Tesla to possibly install a Tesla supercharging station. That'll really relieve a lot of pressure, because the bulk of the EVs are Teslas, there's no doubt about it. So if they have a specific site they can go to, that relieves pressure on some of the more universal public sites that are out there.
What are your opinions on the solar supply chain? Do you think that silicon producers are going to be based more in the U.S. because of prior producers having a track record of using cheap labor and fossil fuels to get the solar panels produced?
Now, I do believe that we'll see an increase in manufacturing in the United States. I mean, again, I think we're seeing electric vehicle manufacturers building newer and more manufacturing plants. Toyota just announced that they're going to build a EV battery facility here in North Carolina that's huge. We've got Rivian just down south of us in Georgia building an entirely new manufacturing plant, and others are announcing every day. So if we look at the EV market, I think you can apply that to the solar panel market too, and we'll start to see more solar panels and solar products developed here in the United States as well, just because the federal government is throwing so much money at it. We all know we need to green our footprint, and we need these products. So I think the supply chain issues will minimize if we would bring it more domestic and increase that production.
I've really enjoyed our conversation today, and Mr. Santucci, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see more from you in the coming future.
Absolutely, thanks for having me. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate it.
Coming up after the break, I sit down with members of our student government to talk about their role in our community. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go! To a place where you can grow.
A place to be heard.
And take a closer look.
A place where you can crush it.
And push yourself.
A place to find your voice.
This place rocks. And rolls.
A place where you can get out.
Wow! A place you'll never forget.
So where is this place? Let me show you.
Hi neighbor, I'm Ariela Allen, and here with me today is the current leadership of our Student Government Association. Join me as Student Body President Bailey Garden, Student Body Vice President DJ Evans, Senate President Trey Blackwood, and Senate President Pro Tempore Zana Kukral discuss student leadership, SGA's political power within the framework of the university, institutional change, and the future of SGA under the Brown and Barreto administration. Hello all, welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you here today. And I guess we'll just kick it right off. What motivated you to run for this specific role you're in?
So I guess I can start. I think for me and DJ, we just had a conversation in December before our term that we ran. And we just had a conversation that we wanted to do something big, be able to work together, make an impact on campus. And so he proposed the idea to me to run, for SGA president and vice president, and the rest is kind of history. I don't know if he wants to add anything.
Yeah, no, I do remember that very vividly. I'm pretty sure I called Bailey on the phone. It was probably like 5 p.m. and I was like, man, I have an idea, but it's kind of a crazy one. And pretty much we said the rest is history. We went from there and we kind of assembled a team. We just really wanted to make lasting change on this campus, because I do know a lot can happen, but if you have people in the right positions, you can make those things happen. So, and we did that, and I've had a good time. I think it's probably one of the best decisions I've had. So.
And how about on the Senate leadership's end?
So this is a new position this year. So it was kind of interesting to see us change over from what we had to what we have now. That's really what motivated me. I saw the potential and the need for leadership this coming year to help guide and direct change. And that really pushed me, and I wanted to be kind of the front end of that and make sure that we're going in the right direction as we move forward.
Yeah, and my position's also a new one this year. It's really more of an organizational, behind-the-scenes kind of role. And I've known Trey since I was a freshman. We've been working together in the Senate for the past 3 years. And I saw his vision. I saw what I wanted to do, really help make SGA a bigger organization than it could be and really help it grow. So that's kind of really what inspired me, was working with the Senate leadership team.
I love both of your answers because it really seems like change and lasting growth is the core philosophy for a lot of your leadership. And actually enact that change, what kind of political power and responsibility does each of your respective roles have?
So from the student body president side, I hold the incredible honor of being on the board of trustees. I'm privileged to be able to walk into certain rooms with university administrations with those trustee members and have certain conversations, be able to advocate for certain issues. So I really think that's my power. It's just the power of the title, and that allows me a certain platform that other students at Appalachian State don't have. So I think it's just incumbent on me to use that platform responsibly in order to advocate for the things that our students need.
Yeah, no, so I don't get the cool honor of being a trustee, but I do, kind of my role is kind of like just kind of keep everybody organized and try and connect everyone with who they need to be connected to, because I know it can be kind of hard to navigate that with admin, and it's kind of hard to reach out to people. So a big part of my role is just making sure people are connected, and I also work a lot with kind of the external things with SGA, so like with athletics or like housing or anything like that. I work a lot with them and trying to get students on the same page as them, especially with things like the housing fair, which wouldn't help a lot of people find housing for next year. So,
for me, I'm a senator, and I also serve as Senate president. So I'm elected by students, and then same as them, and then I'm elected from within the Senate to become Senate president. And so with that responsibility, I chair the Senate meetings. I work with individual senators and committee chairs and kind of make sure that we're all on the same page with things and we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, and for my position, like I said, I do a lot of organizational stuff. So my job is really just to make sure that everything is running smooth behind the scenes, so that nobody has to worry about like, where's the funding coming from? How can I get this bill set aside to that's where it needs to go? And I really just want to work with senators in my position to kind of uplift them. So I don't do a whole lot directly within my position, but I do a lot to kind of bring other senators to the forefront.
And what I really like about all of us being in student government, full disclosure to our audience, I do hold the position of treasurer in SGA. What I really like about student leadership is we all represent a different part of our community because of our individual identities. So as student leaders on campus, what aspects of your identity has intersected with your role, and what kind of experiences have resulted because of it?
I can take that one if y'all want to go first.
Yeah, so at least for me, SGA, when you look at it as a whole, it does seem generally even in the gender breakup, but a lot of leadership, especially in Senate, does tend to be more male-leaning. So as a queer identifying woman, I find myself having to navigate spaces where I am in a traditionally feminine role. You know, I do a secretary job. I do a lot of those like organizational things. So I have to toe the line of making sure that I am still advocating for my fellow women and my fellow queers on campus, and really making sure that they have a position when I come out to the table, while also navigating, you know, the issues of, it just comes with being a minority. You find that people don't always take you seriously at the table, or people will talk over you or not necessarily value your opinions. So it's working to find that balance, and also, but it's given me a really great perspective into working with people who may not be minorities and sitting them down and being like, hey, this is how I see it, and really just being able to provide that perspective to them and making sure that they understand where I'm coming from and really help them become more open-minded at the end.
I can kind of go into that. So really, as a person of color and a straight male, I've kind of had to realize my privilege in this position. Because I've been around a lot of students who, you know, share different things in life, and as a male in a leadership position like this, I have a lot of privilege that a lot of others don't. So I have to take a step back to be able to recognize that sometimes, and I do try and elevate people to the same floor. I'm only a platform. I want to give people a chance to speak, and knowing that I'm able to do that has been something that really like resonated with me, because I didn't realize like how much that can affect someone. So just really recognizing my privilege and being able to bring others up so that they can speak their mind, because I can't speak on experiences that I don't share. It's very hard for me too. So if someone who does have those experiences, it's good for them to be able to use my platform for that. So just really coming to terms with myself and just realizing the privilege that I have.
kind of going off of what DJ said too, you know, as with us both being two men of color at a PWI, like in a space that we were, you know, never really there to exist to begin with, I think it was important for us, although recognizing, you know, that we are minorities, we do experience, you know, some systems of barriers or systematic racism. It's still incumbent on us to surround ourselves with a group of diverse individuals, a good team, so that way, you know, we're getting a lot of opinions, we're seeing a lot of things from different perspectives. I think for me, my experience just from this role has shown me that, you know, a title is only one thing, because despite being a student body president, despite being a trustee, having the ability, the access to be in some of those rooms, some of those conversations, I still feel that because I am the student body president and I am still the student aspect within that trustee group, that my voice is still diminished. I also too recognize when I walk into a lot of spaces, typically I'm the only person of color in that room as well. So, you know, it's really interesting for me because on the one hand, I'm balancing a lot of political, you know, forces and navigating a lot of different things, but at the same time too, I want to make sure I use my voice and feel comfortable enough to use my voice to advocate for others. But it can be difficult, especially when you feel like the weight of, you know, a lot of people of color are on your shoulders when you are in that room, since you're the only one in there.
Right, and I think with all of the different identities each of us hold, that might make us a minority or make us feel a little bit more powerless relative to like the mass who holds another identity. It's so important that you're in these spaces to amplify all voices, which I believe was a huge aspect of your campaign. Yeah. And each of you as a woman, as people of color, being in these roles and having these titles, you truly are trailblazers. But there's definitely a balance to find between trailblazers and not being tokenized in this position. Right. So with tokenization, what have some of the experiences been with that, if any?
I would say when it comes to tokenization, it's just more like you're just kind of there and you're not taken seriously. Like you can have great ideas and they'll tell you you have great ideas, and then next thing you know, like your idea never makes it to the actual table. That's probably the biggest thing that we've seen, and that's just, and I wouldn't say that's everyone as a whole, but there's certain places where it happens more than others. But it's like they're telling you these good things and they're kind of building you up. At the same time, they're never going to use what you're going to say. You're just kind of there to meet the status quo. That's what I would say. That's when it's felt the most, is when you do give out good ideas and you've seen other places implement those same ideas, but yours never make it to the table.
Mm-hmm. I would say the university picking and choosing when they want me to be a trustee. They allowed me to, you know, vote on certain things and have certain conversations when they want me to be a part of those conversations. But then if I try to use the trustee title, you know, to have conversations about something or try to push for something, I might be a little bit met with resistance. So it's just the kind of the picking and choosing can be difficult.
And I think for me, a lot of times I run into the issue of tokenization, especially when I'm sitting in spaces that might be called out for like not having enough representation, because they'll look and they'll be like, well, we have a woman here and we have somebody who's representing this group. And it's just kind of like, a lot of times I wish people would look past that identity and really just stop thinking of it as, I'm just advocating for this minority, and more so think of it as, you know, this person has thoughts and feelings and they have stuff that they want to share and bring to the table, like was mentioned, instead of just being like, oh, well, we have POC on the board, or we have minorities on the board, or we have queer students, and so instead of just diminishing them just to their identity, because we don't do that with majority students. We don't do that with the white men on the board. I don't look to Senate leadership and be like, man, look, we're diverse, we got white men. And so it's just a really just kind of like a balance of respecting our identities, but also not making us entirely based upon that identity whenever we speak.
Wait, the interview is not over. We will continue right after this short break.
Hello, welcome to App TV. I'm Nate McDonald, and this week is National Transfer Student Week here at Appalachian State University, and actually the transfer services are holding an event today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. where they're going to have free food and questions for anyone who's wondering about their transfer program. I'm going to see if I can get a few questions myself.
Hi, I'm Matt Huntinar. I'm the Associate Director for Transfer, Transition, and Engagement with Transfer Admissions and Engagement. And this week we're celebrating National Transfer Student Week. So we have events every day designed to, support transfer students. We want to, educate our campus community so they understand, more about transfer students, and really celebrate that 1 out of 4 students at App State is a transfer student. And so today we're in front of the Belk Library, and we've got Spin to Win. We've given out donuts this morning, and now we're doing pizza. We're very grateful that the Belk Library has partnered with us for this event.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So what would you say are the sort of resources that transfer services provide for incoming transfer students?
That's a great question. So we help all students, because all students, transfer or traditional, bring in transfer credit, either through AP credit or a community college or another school. So from the very beginning, when they are applying, we articulate their credit, and then we have transfer orientation. And then once they get here, we have events and welcome to app, because we know that students, transfer students, they may struggle with acclimating to this new campus, the new university surroundings. And then once they're here, we have events to keep them engaged. So we have the Transfer Student Organization, Tau Sigma, which is the National Honor Society. And one of the groups that I'm very proud of is the Transfer Student Mentors. And those are students that transferred to App, and they had a successful transition, and now they help other students transfer. But the other things we do is we help with a little bit of advising for incoming students, but once they get here, we just continue to support them until they their entire journey, hopefully till graduation.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So what would you say the rate of transfer students looks like this year as compared to former years?
It's good. App State has done very well with our first-year numbers and our transfer numbers. This semester, we welcomed about 1,200 transfer students, which is about the same number we did last year. In January, we hope to welcome another 400 transfer students. So we're, App State, we're fortunate that we really haven't seen a decline in the number of transfer students. We're real happy, too, that this year we partnered with University Housing, and we have a residence hall that is dedicated to transfer students, Mountain Laurel Hall, and it's the largest on-campus transfer student community at App State. So we're very fortunate for that. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for this interview. I love this event, and I can't wait to see more of it.
Now, let's hop back into our SGA interview.
So, for the past, since we've been at SGA, besides this year, it's been a rocky relationship, to say the least, between cabinet and Senate leadership and the Senate as a whole. There's been a lot of mistrust, not working together. Just your straight division between the two branches. And this year, thankfully, we've been able to kind of overcome that and kind of bridge that gap, which I've been very thankful for. That was a big thing that I wanted to do, and it's a big thing that Bailey and DJ wanted to do, and just to make sure that we're actually working together now, and like our committee chairs and our directors are actually working together to like really bring this stuff to the forefront and make sure that it's like getting done and not just like getting put in the drawer somewhere and just like being shut away.
Yeah, and I also speak to that, not just the getting things done point, but also just it's a much more safe culture than it used to be. In the past, I would have never felt comfortable going to members of the other branch and saying like, hey, I have an issue with this, let's sit down, let's fix it. But this year, it really feels like there has been effort made from both sides, where instead of just like sitting on something and letting it fester and just like getting petty and being dramatic about it, I can just directly reach out to a member of cabinet and be like, hey, we need to sit down, we need to have a conversation with this. And I think that when we as leaders make that effort, it does do a good amount to really help make our senators and other cabinet members who may not be as experienced in SGA feel more comfortable in the organization.
Well, that's all the time we had today. Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to follow us on our Instagram page at hi_neighbor_apptv for updates.
Also, be sure to follow and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube channel at AppTV for more student-made content. And for those wanting to hear more about student political power, change within the university, and the incoming Brown and Barreto administration, head to our YouTube page to continue the discussion. Until then, bye, neighbor!